You're watching the Weiss channel, an insane rapid fire edition. Please pause the video at any time in order to make sure you can digest exactly what I'm talking about. Today we're going to talk about right triangles, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know in order to be successful on your Apex quiz for 11.1.3. Okay, so for starters, in a right triangle, you're always going to have one right angle, okay? And a right angle is always 90 degrees, okay? So the three angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, right? So if I want to know what this angle equals, well, I'm going to do 90 plus 40 plus this angle equals 180. So, but also if you think about it, if this angle is 90 degrees, then don't these two add up to 90 degrees? So then I can just say 40 plus what equals 90? Well, 50, okay? So for example, if I see what here, and I know this is 23, I can just say 23 plus what equals 90, or 67 degrees, okay? Not so painful there. Okay, in a right triangle, these two are called the legs, and this is called the hypotenuse, okay? In a right triangle, this is A and this is B, or this could be A and this could be B. It doesn't matter which is A and which is B in terms of the legs, but the hypotenuse is always C, always, always C, okay? So we have what's called the Pythagorean Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? For example, if this is 3 and this is 4 and I want to know what c equals, I'm going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25. 25 equals c squared, but I want to know what c is, so I have to take the square root. Square root of 25 is 5. Okay. Here's another. Now here, by the way, I added 3 squared plus 4 squared. What if I have a problem where, okay, I have the hypotenuse is 13, and I need to find what this guy is? Well, in this case, I'm going to wind up subtracting. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to do 5 squared plus b squared equals 13 squared. 5 squared is 25, 13 squared is 169, and I have to subtract 25 from 169, right, to get 144. Take the square root, and I get 12. So in this case, b equals 12, okay? So here is a quiz example that you will see on your quiz. The Pythagorean theorem is true for all right triangles. Is that true or false? That is true. The Pythagorean theorem is true for all right triangles. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, as long as it's a right triangle. The other one says the Pythagorean theorem is true for all similar triangles. No, 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 that is false. Okay, it's only for right triangles. Okay. So your quiz, one of your quiz questions will look like this. You have an angle here and question mark here. Okay. What does the question mark equal? Well, you do 90 minus 57, you get 33. Okay. All right. Now, we have two types of what's called special right triangles. One of them is called a 30, 60, 90 triangle, where this is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, if this is 30, the side across from it is a length of 1. If it's a length of 1, the hypotenuse is twice that size, or a length of 2. And the long leg will be times square root of 3. For example, if the shortest side is a length of 5, the hypotenuse, you double it to get 10. The long side will be 5 square root of 3. So if this is 1, this is 2, this is 1 square root of 3. If this is 5, this is 10. This is 5 square root of 3. If this is 7, this is 14. This is 7 square root of 3. Okay? The other special right triangle is called a 45-45-90 triangle, where obviously these two angles are equal. And if these two angles are equal, these two sides are equal. So if this is 1, this is 1, and the hypotenuse will be 1 square root of 2. Another example, if this is 3, this is 3, this is 3 square root of 2. If this is 9, this is 9, this is 9 square root of 2. There will be more on this in a little bit, okay? Now, once again, we said this is A, this is B, and this is C. When we label sides of a triangle, the American alphabet is used to name sides. But what the heck is that sign? What the is that? Well, for some reason, the Greek alphabet is used to name angles. Why? I have no idea. We almost always use theta. This is called theta to name angles. Okay? So for today's examples, we will be using theta, right? The Greek letter theta to name an angle. In a right triangle, if this is the angle that I'm referring to, or this is my theta, that means that's the angle I'm referring to. This is the opposite side. If you notice, it's directly across from theta. Okay? And then this guy is next to the angle. It's called adjacent. And this, of course, is called the hypotenuse. You might be thinking, well, isn't the hypotenuse also adjacent? Well, yes, but we call it the hypotenuse. So the side that isn't the hypotenuse, that's next to the theta, is going to be called adjacent. Okay? So this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. Okay? Now, what if my theta is down here? If this is the angle I'm referring to, then now this is opposite, right? Isn't that the side across from the right angle? And then this guy is adjacent, and this still is the hypotenuse, okay? Now, in a right triangle, sine, what the heck is sine? Sine, all right, there's sine, cosine, and tangent, okay? Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So all you need to know, for example, if this is 3 and this is 4 and this is 5, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, or opposite in this case is 3, the hypotenuse is 5, so sine of theta is 3 over 5. Boom, done. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Once again, this is adjacent, this is hypotenuse. Okay, so what's adjacent over hypotenuse in this case? Adjacent is 4, hypotenuse is 5. Your answer is 4 over 5. Done. Tan theta is opposite over adjacent. Once again, this is opposite, this is adjacent, so it's going to be opposite over adjacent, or 3 over 4 would be tan theta. Okay? So how the heck do you remember all this? Well, we use something, we call it Sohcahtoa, where you use letters to represent the words that we're using, okay? Sohcahtoa, what the heck is that? Sine, S, is opposite over hypotenuse. So, cosine, is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan, T, toa, is opposite over adjacent. So we say Sohcahtoa to know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent. Now, I'm going to ask you to please write this down somewhere. All right? Here are some what we call Pythagorean triples. Because, for example, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Just please write these down. Press pause right now. Write these down for yourself, and I will tell you why in a little bit. Okay? Please get these written down. Okay? Next case. Here is a quiz example. If sine of theta is 5 over 13, then what's cosine of theta? Okay? Well, hopefully you wrote this down. Okay? Do you see the 5 and the 13? All right? If 5 and 13, okay, is sine of theta, meaning sine, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse. So if sine is 5 over 13, that means this is 5 and this is 13. Well, the other side has to be 12. Why? Because I had you write that down. 5, 12, and 13. That's the other number that fits there. Okay? So, what is cosine theta? Well, cosine, remember, is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 12. Hypotenuse is 13. So cosine theta is 12 over 13. That's how you do that problem. When it asks you, or when it tells you sine is one thing, you fill in the third number so you can figure out everything else. I will tell you what I mean by that in just a moment. Now, if you have sine, cosine, and tangent, all right, if you flip them over, if you flip over sine, that's called cosecant. If you flip over cosine, that's called secant. If you flip over tan, that's called cotangent. Okay? You might be saying to yourself, why isn't the reverse of sine secant and the reverse of cosine cosecant? I don't know, but it isn't. Okay? The reverse of sine is cosecant. The reverse of cosine is secant. The reverse of tan is cotangent. What do I mean by this? If sine is 7 over 25, okay, remember over here, 7 and 25, the third number is going to be 24, okay? If sine is 7 over 25, okay, cosecant is 25 over 7. If sine is 7 over 25, that means cosine has to be 24 over 25. That means secant is 25 over 24. If tan is 7 over 24, that means cotangent is 24 over 7. Okay? Here's your quiz example. Your quiz example is, if tan of theta is 40 over 9, then what must be true? Well, if tan of theta is 40 over 9, so once again, we're going to be using this. 40 over 9, so that's going to be opposite over adjacent, meaning 41's the hypotenuse. Okay? So, if you set up, okay, if you set up your triangle, all right, you've got this, okay? If tan is 40 over 9, you have, here's my theta, and here's 40 over 9. Opposite over adjacent. So then, if what you need to do for this problem, is set all of them up for yourself. Put the 41 in the hypotenuse. Then tell yourself, okay, sine is 40 over 41. Cosine is 9 over 41. Tan is 40 over 9. Cosecant is 41 over 40. Secant is 41 over 9, and cotangent is 9 over 40. So now you say here, is secant 41 over 9? And you go down and, yes it is. Check it. Is cosine 40 over 41? No. Is cosecant 41 over 40? Yes. Check it. Is cotangent 9 over 40? Yes. Check it. That's how you do that problem, okay? We're going back now to the 30, 60, 90 and the 45, 45, 90, okay? So, once again, now we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And if this guy is 1, the hypotenuse again is 2, and the long leg is square root of 3. So if I say, what's sine of 30? Sine, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite is 1, hypotenuse is 2. The sine of 30 is 1 over 2. Cosine of 30 is adjacent over hypotenuse, or square root of 3 over 2. Tan of 30 is going to be 1 over the square root of 3, which simplifies to square root of 3 over 3. You'll have to watch another video, maybe on YouTube, to see why that's true. I'm not showing that here, okay? But 1 over the square root of 3 equals square root of 3 over 3. So cosecant, you flip this, cosecant would be 2. Cosine 30 would be 2, or secant 30 is 2 over square root of 3, which is 2 square root of 3 over 3. Tan 30 is 1 over square root of 3, so cotan is just plain square root of 3 over 1, which is square root of 3. Okay, what about 60 degrees? What's sine of 60? Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2, opposite over hypotenuse, okay? Sine is square root of 3 over 2, meaning cosecant is 2 square root of 3 over 3. Cosine 60 is 1 over 2, so secant 60 is 2. Tan 60 is square root of 3 over 1, so cotangent 60 is 1 over square root of 3, or square root of 3 over 3. In a 45, 45, 90, again, this is 1, this is 1, this is 1 square root of 2. So what's sine of 45? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, or 1 over square root of 2, which is the same as square root of 2 over 2. So if sine is 1 over square root of 2, cosecant is just square root of 2 over 1. Notice that cosine of 45 is also 1 over square root of 2, or square root of 2 over 2. So secant of 45 is also square root of 2. Tangent of 45 is opposite over adjacent, 1 over 1, which is 1. So cotangent, if you flip 1 over 1, you still get 1 over 1, which is 1. Okay? Now, a quiz example. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2, and cosine of 60 is 1/2. Well, that's true. Why? Because, here we go. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. All right? So maybe even write these down for yourself. If you write these down for yourself, all of these, okay, you will be set for that quiz problem, okay? Here, we're going to solve for x and y, all right? Now, here's what's going to happen. This time I don't have a theta, I have 37 degrees, okay? So if I want to figure out what x is opposite, and 25 is adjacent. Well, what's opposite and adjacent? Opposite and adjacent, that was tan. Toa, remember, Sohcahtoa? Tan is opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to say that tan of 37 degrees equals opposite over adjacent, x over 25, okay? So tan 37 equals x over 25. I'm going to put tan 37 over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply, right? Tan 37 times 25 equals 1x, or x. X equals 25 tan 37. Okay, now here's how you're going to do that on a calculator. Okay, on a regular calculator like this, okay, it said 25 tan 37. You just press 25 tan 37. And you can, or you don't have to hit that close parentheses, hit equals, and it gives you 18.3885125. Okay? Now, on the phone calculator, you got to turn it sideways. Okay. I'm going to turn the phone calculator sideways. Oh, there we go. Now, to do this on the phone calculator, you have to hit 25 times 37, and then hit tan. You have to hit tan after you hit the 37, and then hit equals, and it gives you the 18.83888512. Okay? So you get this 18.8388512, but it's going to ask you to round to 2 decimal places or the hundredths place, which means this 3, because of the 8, if this number is 5 or higher, this goes up to 4, okay? So I'm sorry, but the computer will mark it wrong if you put 18.83 as your answer. Your answer will be 18.84, okay? Now, how do I find y? I just found x, I find y. Now, y, okay, this is adjacent and this is hypotenuse. What's adjacent over hypotenuse? That's cosine. Oh, so I'm going to do cosine 37 equals 25 over y, okay? Now when I cross multiply, I put cosine 37 over 1. When I cross multiply, I get cosine 37y equals 25. So this time, instead of multiplying, I have to divide by cosine 37. So I'm going to do 25 divided by cosine 37. On a regular calculator, you can just do 25 divided by cosine 37. On the phone calculator, you do 25 divided by 37 cosine and hit equals. Okay? So when you do that, you'll get 31.30, which simplifies, or to the second decimal place is 31.30. You could hit 31.3 in this case. It should mark it correct. Okay? Quiz example is going to say, okay, here, what's z? All right, I'm actually doing 2 different quiz examples in one problem here. Just like we just did. What's z? All right, z is opposite and adjacent. That's going to be tan. So we do tan 52 equals z over 48. Cross multiply, 48 tan 52 is 61.43, which you need to write as 61.44 if this number here is 5 or bigger, right? Okay. How do I find y? Once again, since it's adjacent and hypotenuse, I'm going to use cosine. Okay, cosine 52 equals 48 over y. Cross multiply, cosine 52y equals 48. I divide by cosine 52. 48 divided by cosine 52 will give me 77.96. Okay, please try that on your calculator before you take your quiz. Okay. All right, you're going to have a couple of word problems. Here's one example of one of the word problems. A surveyor measures the angle of elevation to a point on a mountain to be 18 degrees. The point on the mountain is horizontally 9 miles away from the surveyor. The vertical change in elevation from the point where the surveyor is standing to the point on the mountain is blank miles. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, you gotta just take this step by step. Okay? The surveyor measures the angle of elevation. That's the angle going up, okay? The angle of elevation going up is 18 degrees. Here's your surveyor. Here's your angle of elevation, 18 degrees, okay? point on the mountain is horizontally is going across, horizontally 9 miles away from the surveyor. So here, from the surveyor, 9 miles away is the mountain. Here's my mountain, okay? So, all right, it says the vertical change in elevation. You know, why do they have to get so wordy? I don't know. Vertical is up and down, right? Vertical change. Why can't they just say, how high is the mountain? I don't know why they can't do that, all right? Vertical change means how high is the mountain? That's what the question mark goes, okay? So your question will be the same. It'll just be different numbers, okay? Anyway, so here's 18 degrees. Here's opposite and adjacent. So what function am I going to use? Tan. Tan 18 equals question mark over 9. Cross multiply, I get 9 tan 18. Do that on your calculator and you'll get 2.92. Okay? And to the nearest hundredth. Make sure you give 2 decimal places. If you don't give the correct 2 decimal places after decimal, it's going to be wrong, okay? All right. And here's finally your last example, okay? Fill in the blank. It says, the light from a lamp casts a shadow of a man standing 20 feet away from the lamppost. The shadow is 10 feet long. The angle of elevation from the tip of the shadow to the lamp is 50 degrees. To the nearest foot, that means do not make it 2 decimal places. To the nearest foot, the lamppost is blank feet tall. Okay, again, do one step at a time. The light from a lamp casts a shadow of a man standing 20 feet away from the lamppost. Here's a man standing 20 feet away from a lamppost. Okay? The shadow is 10 feet long. Okay, so here's his shadow. Here's the lamppost shining a light on the man, and here is his shadow 10 feet long. Okay? And it says the angle of elevation, once again, here's elevation going up. 50 degrees is my angle of elevation, okay? So the angle of elevation is 50 degrees, all right? To the nearest foot, the lamppost is how many feet tall? Okay, so what's this height? Once again, now, if this is 20 and this is 10, what's the entire length? Hopefully you will agree that's 30, okay? So, once again, this is opposite, this is adjacent, and again, I'm going to use tan. Tan 50 equals question mark over 30, okay? Tan 50 equals question mark over 30. I'm going to cross multiply and get 30 tan 50. On your calculator, 30 tan 50 is going to give you 35.7526. You have to round that to just simply 36 feet, okay? Do not leave a decimal in this problem when it says to the nearest foot, okay? Okay, you've been watching the Weiss channel. Da-da-da-da-da-da.